Welcome, welcome. Season 2, Episode 7 of the Breaking Chains podcast. Today we're going to talk about expanding your awareness.
Awareness. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for watching. Thank you to all of our subscribers. See, people are subscribing and watching these, so I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to send you a little shout out and really appreciate, just being aware here with us. So what do we want to talk about? First of all, we've been in it. Like, this has been such an amazing time in our lives to trust, first of all. And I think this goes really hand in hand with just being aware of and being in the space where we've done a lot of work and a lot of communicating and a lot of prayers and a lot of faith and learning how to have trust in something greater, in God, in knowing that we don't control it all, especially other people, right? You can't control somebody else.
You can't control.
You can only control yourself. And even that is not something that we're trying to control ourselves. We're trying to become more and more aware. I just read something. It said, and I think I reposted it. I hope I get this right. Control your emotions and you control your actions. And you control your actions.
I would say yes to that.
If you can control your actions, you can control your outcomes. Something like that.
It's almost like you can't control life, but you can control your reaction to it.
Yes, that's it. It's like the more you become non-reactive in the sense of you don't just act out of how you feel.
Yeah.
Right? You take it in, you notice feelings, you notice that, oh, I'm feeling this thing, accept them.
Yeah.
And then you can take action from a space of awareness as opposed to reacting out of a state of feeling.
Now, what is reacting? What would you consider that?
You tell me.
I think reacting is a habitual pattern that you've created over time, not on purpose, not necessarily your fault. Could be due to conditioning from family, from society, from friends, from upbringing, from trying to fit in. It could be anything you want it to be. But if you can look at the reaction, you can then ask questions. You can observe it first and foremost, and then you can ask questions to yourself on why might I do that? So for instance, if I have to defend myself, right, which I do, right? There's moments when you come at me and say something completely with truth, let's say, and I feel the need to defend. I ask myself, why do I need to defend myself? And if my truth is my truth, why do I feel that need? And then I'm able to maybe go back towards my childhood and see myself needing to defend for whatever reason. And I'm not saying that that's the full reason, but that's at least myself working towards a reason why I might do something. So as I can see the habitual pattern, I'm able to observe it. And then from observing it, I'm able to transcend it and it goes away.
So that kind of takes me back to, we've discussed this a lot, back to Joe Dispenza and so many other metaphysicists and all that neuropsychology.
Yeah.
What do they say? You are fully hardwired by the age of 7. I've said this before.
Correct.
And by the age of 7, you have ingrained in your system your patterns of like how you think, act, and believe. And this ingrained pattern, this subconscious stamp that's in you is going to dictate a lot of how you react to situations, your anxiety to situations, your fears, that's anxiety, right? And your limitations, like what you think is the ceiling in life.
Of course.
Right? So I saw my son jumping off of the couch, not just off of the couch, but with a gymnastics roll-up mat, which is like a hexagon, octagon, big, it's huge, it's tall, and he puts it on the couch, climbs the couch and climbs on top of that, and then says, "Mom, look at me. I'm going to do a really big jump." So right at that moment, right, as parents, there's a couple of things that can happen as a parent. What would most parents do?
Stop him from jumping.
And by saying what?
You're going to hurt yourself.
You're going to hurt yourself. Get down. And right before that came out of my mouth, I stopped and I said, I wonder if he could actually do it and make it and be okay. And that actually made me feel safer, because if he believes he can jump from there and land on his very flexible, amazing, healthy joints and bones, then he probably is just going to get stronger from that jump, even if maybe he hurts himself a little bit. So I'd let the kid jump. And he landed and rolled into like a roll. And it was pretty amazing how like intuitively he did this, right? He was like, I'm going to go again. And then he kept doing it. He kept getting more and more wild. I was like, okay, Kobe, that is really cool that you can do that. Let's take a break now, because you did a lot and you might be tired. And we'll take the mat off the couch now. So there's a balance sometimes, right? Because I was not going to walk away and let him get crazier, because as a parent, it's my duty and responsibility to protect him and guide him, right?
Yeah.
At the same time, what I'm recognizing more and more, even me, who's a wild child, who did backflips off of things, I still have those limited thoughts where like, oh my God, you're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt, be careful, be careful, be careful. And even though I'm like the kind of the least like that, I still have that. There are infinite amount of things that kids can do that we don't know they can do, because we say, stop, stop, stop.
But it's kind of like, I guess it's like the ingrained fear.
So why am I like that? Even though I'm like, take a risk. I love risk. When I was a child, every time I came down the stairs, I sprinted down. I didn't know how to walk. I just sprinted everywhere. It's like I just wanted to run, right? And every day, until high school, I lived with my grandparents in high school, they yelled at me for running down the stairs. Never fell down the stairs, ever. I've fallen up the stairs, walking up the stairs. I've tripped many times. I've never fallen down the stairs, but I like to go down as fast as I can. It's a waste of time if I'm going down slow. And I got yelled at my whole entire life for running downstairs. And to me, in my head, I'm like, why am I getting yelled at when I'm fine? Right?
Yeah.
So that's still ingrained in me. The fact that that was being done to me is still like slowly like being unimpressed, right? Because it's in there and now it has to like come out. So like you said, what is a reaction? That was your question and you answered it.
Yeah.
I think that's reaction. Like the first thing you want to do when you get hit with a stimulus. What's the first thing? No matter what that stimulus is, right? Whether it's a pleasurable stimulus, whether it's a negative stimulus that doesn't make us feel good, whether it's neutral. We have this habit of where we go in that map in our head to take action. But that's reaction when it's done out of habit as opposed to contemplated.
So I kind of want to put everything into like one little bubble real quick. And that's that if you actually took a moment right now, just like pretend chastity, and just for a moment, think that you are a compilation of projections and conditionings from all of your environments ever. Do you really know who you are?
So it's interesting you say that, because you could actually do the inverse. And if for a moment you think about who you are,
Yeah.
and you've asked for all of those experiences to be here now and become aware that you're none of them.
Now we went esoteric.
But it's the same thing, right? Because if you say, oh my God, who am I? I'm none of what any of these people have said to me or did to me. I'm space, I'm infinite nothingness, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just, what does that actually do for you as a human in this journey in connecting to people? maybe it makes you some Gandhi-like figure and you could just be meditating all day. But is any of that real? Didn't he like have this really weird video of a child licking his tongue? Was that Gandhi?
No.
No, who was
That
that?
was,
Sorry, my people
what's
are
his
getting weird.
name?
Sorry. Not Gandhi.
What's his name? The Dalai Lama.
Dalai Lama. I don't know my head.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, like not too long ago. That was like a month ago, right? Like showed you, he like told this kid to like suck his tongue. But this is like one of those gurus, right? That you're like, oh, if I get there and I get to this place, it's not real.
Yeah.
The only realness is like that Christ consciousness in our heart, that love of God, that connection to all, and knowing we're all here in this human experience. If you look at any human and think that they're God, then you have an issue. If you look up to this person more than you look to yourself, then you have an issue. Also, if you look at yourself and you look at all the people around you and say, they've done this to me, where does that place you?
What do you mean?
They just projected everything on me and I'm none of this.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying to take it as a negative. I'm saying to be able to question the thoughts that I believe or my habits, to question them. Not to say, why did you do this to me? Because you have no idea what's truth and what's not truth. So, for instance, just having the open space to question why I am a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. Am I a Pittsburgh Steeler fan because I grew up loving the Pittsburgh? Why did I grow up loving it? Because my dad loved the Pittsburgh Steelers. So therefore, I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler fan because my dad's a Pittsburgh Steeler fan. But am I truly a Pittsburgh Steeler fan?
What is a fan?
Exactly.
What is a fan?
But as you see, my point was not to, it was more to open people's mind, not from a negative perspective of what was done to me. It's to say right now, wow, I have to now go through the labyrinth of really questioning my entire life and what I do for me and what I do to satisfy the needs or get the approval of other people, or why do I like whatever I like. I think that's a great place to be after you awaken to that. Because at first it's very scary, right? Because you're like, wow, this stuff that I used to hold on to so tightly, that's the only way that I know Chris Jones. Because Chris Jones is a compilation of all those thoughts and all those feelings and all those conditionings. So who is Chris Jones without all of those stories that I'm attached to if I detach from them?
Right. So what I take from that, a lot of what I take from that is kind of in the same sense of what I was saying, right? So like, who are you without being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan? I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan because my dad was. Well, why was he a Pittsburgh Steelers fan? But if you take away all that, all the stuff, right? Because this is all just stuff. Everything materializes into stuff. What did being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan actually do for you? That's more of the question of why maybe you continue to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So we're talking about expanding open-mindedness, right? Like, so how do we become more open-minded to even think? So even us having discussions sometimes forces us into like being more open-minded, because like sometimes our views are so clashing, even though a lot of times they're the same. We just love to argue about the
I don't
same.
actually love to argue.
You don't love
You
to,
love to
You
argue.
don't like to call it arguing, but you love to argue. And so what is the attachment of being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan? So a lot of what I know about you and your father is he didn't have a very paternal affection towards you. But how you bonded was through maybe watching games, through getting excited together, through being sad together about the Pittsburgh Steelers events, going places together, maybe going to see a game, going to a house to watch the game together. This was a bonding thing more than it was, I am a fan. So it created a feeling inside of you to attach to someone more than it actually had to do with the football team. Because I will tell you, once we started dating, you stopped watching football.
I don't believe it's to the football team. Well, I agree with you 100%.
Right.
It's to the experience.
Right.
But it's still labeled or categorized as a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I
Right.
think it's for some people who might not be at the level that you're thinking about it at, even being called a label of anything at least starts the road down this next journey, which is like,
Right.
okay, well, yeah, I am attached to that label, but what's the story behind that
That's what I
label
was getting
that
at.
brings the emotions?
See what I mean? You love to argue? You're saying the same thing.
We're saying the same thing, but I feel like I'm trying to come from a little bit of a more practical, from my perspective, to help people who might not be where you're at in your understandings to start somewhere.
I'm nowhere.
Okay.
I come from nothingness. No, but seriously, that's me even saying you were probably only a Pittsburgh Steelers fans because it's a way to connect to your father. Maybe will allow somebody else to see that too. Like, I feel like I dated a guy and I pretended to like to watch basketball games. No part of my being likes to watch basketball games. It was a lie, but it was a very easy lie to get out of as well. Like, oh, I actually hate this. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but
why'd you do it?
to bond, right? Because this was this guy's favorite thing to do.
To
He
bond, or
loved-
you felt like you needed to be supportive, or you felt like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Right.
But who
So-
taught you that?
It's a way to come into somebody else's space. You accept what they accept, right? So think about a parent. If a parent loves this thing and you want this parent's affection, because whose affection do we want more than parents?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna like what you like, Mom. I love that too.
So you wanted to
Kobe
like
literally-
basketball.
Kobe literally tells me, like, I'm like, what's your favorite color? He's like, I like your favorite color. Like,
Yeah.
that's not how this works. But maybe it is. Maybe everything we like is through connection. We just are trying to connect. We are
Agreed.
all so connected and interconnected and interwoven, and we want to just come back together. The core of our essence wants to be united again instead of divided and angry and all the animosity. We actually love one another, right? And so we look for connections. And if we don't have it, we force them.
So
Right?
there's this example of like what it is to how we've confined ourselves as an ego, as a personal identity. And it's almost like there was this large piece of paper, construction paper, and we're all of it. We're everything on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
But then based off our environment and society, little by little, we have folded the piece of paper multiple times until this large piece of paper turns into this little box. And that's what our ego identity does. And so that's why the most pain and suffering comes from the ego identity, because although we're on a spectrum of all of these things, we're trying to fit this perfect thing that we're supposed to based off of our conditioning. And so when I think about what you say, it aligns with doing it for approval, or doing it out of or wanting attachment, or wanting connection.
Right.
I agree with you. Why do certain people do certain things? For connection.
Right. And then it could go to, like, so we can get deeper into psychology about attachment styles. And somebody like me, who was very effed up with attachment, right, with my parents and my situation where, you know, having been taken away from my mother at the ripe age of 2.5, and then getting a stepmother and her already having a child and her loving me, but I had sisters, and all the love felt different for everyone, and we had to work for love. And a lot of my attachment style came from, okay, I am going to cling on to the people who accept my offering of my work. Here's what I have to offer you, love me, right? So if what I had to offer was, what I can offer you now is liking what you like, right? So that's not healthy at all. And then when you become more open-minded into learning about yourself, because that's like the biggest thing you could do first, like learn about yourself and why you are the way you are in terms of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're constantly in toxic relationships, is it all the toxic people around you, or is it you?
Yeah.
So you learn about your attachment styles. Why am I attracted to toxic people? What about me brings them my way? What about me makes them love me? What about me loves them?
But is there a way that a person can say, what about me, but then use their external environment to help them?
It's all a mirror.
Okay.
So like when we look at our external environment, it's like, oh, I see that this person is doing that. Oh, because I do that. Where in my actions do I do the same thing?
So in the things you like about somebody, typically those are traits within yourself that you also like. But when you're triggered by something somebody else is doing, those are traits that you have also, but that you haven't come to fully accept.
Possibly. I think there are, for me personally, and I think there's like 8 billion people on this planet now?
8 billion.
We've said this before. There's 8 billion universes then, right? Like every single brain is a whole multiverse. We have all of these thoughts, all of these things we're going through. And so you're never going to meet one person and say, wow, we agree on our worlds are exactly the same. I can't believe it. And if you do, then live with them for a couple of years. And then you realize you don't. Right?
You don't what?
Then you realize you don't agree on every single little thing.
No.
Right? There are so many different
variables,
views, and yes,
perspectives.
Period. What was your question?
I don't remember what it was.
Do you remember the question, Tyler?
Tyler. No?
I know.
Okay.
I threw myself off for a second.
Yeah.
But if I went back to the mirror of people, is it this was the question. If everything you do for if this person triggers me, sometimes I believe it's a sign. Yeah. Sometimes I think it's a sign because if the person's still doing something and you're certain that this is not your actions, like, okay, no, I'm pretty sure I don't do that. Nope, I'm pretty sure I keep seeing the same pattern. That could be a sign to your gut, your intuition telling you to walk away.
Yeah.
Like that's enough. You've had enough. There's constant communication. But like I said, 8 billion people, only you know what's being communicated to you. And it's the ultimate truth of your reality. So if everybody else is around you, like, you keep doing this, you keep doing this, you keep doing this, and you're like, no, I don't. No, I don't. Definitely don't. Who can take that truth away from you? If everyone around you thinks you do and you're saying you don't, then that's your reality. But if you start to say, oh, maybe I do that, I'll stop now. Then it's still your reality. Then you did decide. But like if somebody is triggering you, like if you're triggering me in some way and I know it's not because of something I do.
How do you know that though? If you're not still.
Do you want me to use some examples?
Please.
Okay.
Throw them out there.
So, and sometimes I think it can reflect in other points in life, right? So like, let's say every time you finish eating, you put your dish by the sink.
Yep.
Instead of just like cleaning it up.
Okay. So that triggers you.
I wouldn't say every time, but sometimes like in a rush. And like if we're like trying to get the kids to bed and then you're just like, here you go, here's another dish.
So it's similar to you going in the cabinet and not closing it?
No. It's nothing alike because
how is that not the same?
Because first of all,
actually putting the dish in the dishwasher takes 3 steps. Opening up the cabinet and closing it takes 1.
So and
even that's still not done.
So it's much easier for you to go behind me and close the cabinet than it is for me to clean up your dishes.
It's about the same level of ease.
Okay, so I don't close cabinets.
But what's
That's
the difference?
My thing. Does it trigger you that I don't close cabinets?
Not as much. Like I'm not like, oh my gosh, she didn't close the cabinet. I closed the cabinet.
Exactly, and it doesn't.
But
really
it triggers you that I don't put my dish in the thing.
Not every day.
Typically, I'm not doing it.
Not every day. Typically, you're not what?
Typically, I'm not doing it because you're at the dishwasher putting dishes in. So I put it in. I let you put it in.
It's so kind. Thank you. So that's what I'm saying. So I know it's not something I ever do. I would never like put my dish for somebody else to do.
But you put the cabinet for somebody else to do.
No, you don't have to do it.
You don't have to do the dish.
Who cleans the kitchen?
I guess you don't technically have to do the dish.
Who closes all the cabinets at the end of the night? I think it's a nightly thing. You close all the cabinets, you wipe the counters, all the dishes. I never leave my kitchen a mess at night. I clean the kitchen every single night. I don't like any crumbs. When I wake up in the morning, I like to go into
How about
the
this?
kitchen.
How does it make you feel? Let's start there. Let's do this live.
So it's obviously like a trigger response. It's obviously not the dish. It's probably so much more.
That's what I'm asking you. So why we're here and live?
This is not
live. Let's go a little deeper. And when I do not put the dish in the dishwasher, let's tell our viewers. What are all the feelings that come up, and be real and truthful and authentic? Do you want to choke me? Do you want to smack me?
I'm 8 months pregnant with 2 toddlers, and I work pretty much all day. I cook, then I'm cleaning. You come and eat the meal. You sit down, you eat a delicious meal, and then you give me your dish.
So what does that make you feel? Like, and I'm being like, if we can be specific,
right.
like.
No, that's it. That's
so
it. Like,
you feel like I don't appreciate?
No, I feel like it's very late. The kids get in bed super late, and that's a thing. And then, yes, you work all day.
But if it's triggered,
because you get home late, and that's another thing. But the fact that my day is pushed so far deep into the night, and I feel like, oh, it's one more thing I have to do. That's what's on my mind. It's like I'm trying to get everything done. And then I'm like, okay, then we got to get the kids to bed. That's really it. But my whole point was not to get into couples therapy right now. It really was like, there are things that somebody else can do that can trigger you and trigger a response that does not necessarily mean it's you. It could provoke a conversation say it to be real.
I don't think this is couples therapy. I think, honestly, it's a good opportunity to discover how some things that might be minuscule to one person is not minuscule to another person. So by me not putting the dish in the dishwasher, you would only be triggered because internally you feel something about my actions.
No, I'm pretty sure most people would be like, yo, what the hell? Like, you see me doing all this. I'm trying to clean the whole kitchen. I've been standing eating, and I'm doing dishes. And then I think any normal human being that has been doing all of that, standing by a dishwasher, then putting the dishes in, and you come and go, here you go, boop. Anybody, please leave me comments in the comment section, please. And let me know if you would just be like, and the funny thing is, I never react. I never flip out on you. I've never yelled at you. This is why he's so shocked, because I just brought it up. And it's not
I know you've brought it up before in person, like when it's happened. I'm not shocked that that would bother you at all. But I think one of the underlying reasons is like, okay, that's just something that you typically do on a regular basis, right? And so going forward, I know that you always want me to put that dish in.
See, that's also interpreted very not right. Going forward, I want you to put
Tyler.
The dish in. So it's not about the dish.
I'm going out to the crowd. So
it's about
seriously,
everything. It's about the whole experience of eating late, being tired, having 2 toddlers, and then having. It's the dish, but it's not the dish. It's like energetically, you know that it's not the dish. So if there is a little piece, and this is awareness that we could all take in, right? So like if we ever have a partner, if we're in a relationship, whether it's with a parent or a friend, I think it's always just that one little step out of your way to give a helping hand.
Yo, you gotta be kidding me.
This is like the most serious I've ever been, and now you're...
Because you have to be kidding me. You make it sound like you do absolutely nothing, and all you have to do is put the plate in the dishwasher. So like you do nothing all day.
Who said that?
No, what I'm saying is the way you're saying it is like all you have to do is put the dish in the dishwasher.
No, that's not it.
I understand it's a cumulative effect of a lot of things,
Uh-huh.
and it's on both sides. All right, so I hear you. And my point of saying me putting the dish in the dishwasher is real. It's saying if I could alleviate that one thing that might take you over the top, then why wouldn't I do it? That's
Right.
kind of what I'm saying.
That's what I feel.
I'm respecting and
So
appreciating
that's
your
what
request.
I feel, and I think sometimes it's hard to process as beings, right? Just like beings, period. Sometimes it's hard to process the fact that we have to communicate things and the other person is not in our head and just doesn't do things that we need them to do. That would be really ideal, right? Like,
Yeah, communicate. Like, hey, could you please put that dish away
I
for me
also
going
think,
forward?
like, have I said it before?
Simple.
Have I said it before?
I don't know.
You said I did. So you were so certain before I said it before.
I think, yeah, but you didn't really tell me like it bothers you that much. And now that I know, I'm like, all right, I'll put the dish away
But
every
that's
time.
what I said. I said I do it because it's like, all right, you know what? I do this every day. Maybe I'm just doing it to myself, right? And that's another thing. I think a level of awareness of how much you take on and want to take on, right? So like if it's something that I'm doing every day, just like you, if you're doing all these tasks in the business every day, you're like, oh, I got to do it all because nobody's coming to help me, right? Like, all right, here's another dish. You want to do it all? Do it, right? It's the same thing. So maybe that is a mirror.
There's a mirror no matter what.
It's all, right.
It's all a mirror if you're willing to look. And so I think it's important. I honestly think it's important that any single person that you come in contact with, whether it's your significant other, whether it's a friend, an acquaintance, a coworker, if you are open, you can learn something incredible about yourself.
Right. And so like even in that situation, a couple of things can be taken away from the dish. She just titled this The Dish. Were you triggered by me talking about the dish?
Talking about the dish?
Yeah. Do you feel truth to that? Do you feel like
I don't
you're really
feel triggered.
are you putting a burden on me by putting the dish next to the sink?
I actually don't feel triggered by you bringing it up. And I actually am like, all right, I can definitely put my dish away. I know I put my dish away 50% of the time. So, but I could do it every time.
That's 100% a lie.
Definitely not.
Definitely.
I'm picturing myself right now putting the fork and the plate away.
You've literally eaten alone. I've come home and your dishes are in the sink.
In the sink.
Yeah, that's not putting your dish away.
30 to 50%.
I'll go with 10.
All right,
But-
so 1 out of 10.
right.
This is not bad.
So the whole point of what I'm saying is that a truth to you? Do you feel truth behind when I talk to you and do you feel open to receiving that, or do you feel defensive about the dish?
No, I actually, with regards to this topic, I feel really open, actually.
And what does that do for you?
What's it do for me? Nothing. That allows me to look at the situation, see how I can improve the quality of your life by helping
But
out a
would
little
it
bit
be
more.
improving the quality of my life?
It would be improving the quality of both of our lives.
Yeah. So I think that's another thing that I take into account when I change something in my life. Like, okay, is this going to actually improve my life? Right? Like, because in reality, like human beings are selfish. Like we're just bred that way, and not selfish in the sense that I only care about myself and I only want to survive, but that ego in us has us on this survival kick, right? And so when we're doing things, we're doing it, okay, I have to survive and my loved ones have to survive in this game of life. That's really what it comes down to. Now, how can I survive the happiest, the best way possible as well? Because we don't just want to survive now that we're surviving, we want to live. How do I live in a happier state? And how do we do that? We make others around us feel better.
Well, naturally, if you feel better about yourself, you're going to attract other people who feel similar about themselves. Frequency and vibration. right? So it's always about adding value to wherever you can.
Right.
So if I'm adding value to your life by doing something, at the same time adding value to my life, like I feel good that I'm being in service to you.
Right, that's what
and
I was
then
going
you feel
towards.
good that you're being appreciated.
We really feel good that we're
then
doing
we both feel
things.
better, and voila, we have a
Boom.
great night.
Magic. Yeah. So I feel like I asked you that question about how does that make you feel? Because like, we also wanted to kind of get into detaching from the opinion. So it's my opinion that you should put the dish in the sink. But like, it also can be your truth that like, no, it's not. Like I worked a long day. I did all this. I pay the mortgage, blah, blah. I don't have to put the dish in the sink. That could be your truth.
Definitely.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, so it doesn't necessarily mean that because I'm triggered or I feel something that you have to hold on to it and say, agree with me.
Of course.
Right. But I feel like the way we find balance and harmony with people we want to find balance and harmony is coming to that middle place of being open-minded.
Yeah.
And saying, you know what, there's room for me to make a change.
Agreed.
There's room for me to think a little differently.
So just to make sure that our viewers have the opportunity to really take away something special
The dish.
besides the dish, which I'm sure y'all experience, but what is the benefit? You said something powerful during this this episode, and you said that whatever your truth is your truth at that current moment in time.
It's not the absolute truth.
It's not. It's the truth. It's a spectrum, right? Dish, no dish. Right? So my question to you, is this. What do you think the viewers or anybody, how would they benefit from proactively making an effort to become more aware? How do you feel like it would enhance their life?
Well, when you become aware, right? So like even when I'm able to talk about the dish and how it could be frustrating, I think what awareness and just acceptance of what isness, it helps you be more at peace.
Yeah.
All of those emotions that would boil up and make you rageful and make me want to go like talk about it and be angry and
Gossip.
flip a table. It kind of dissolves that. Allows me to go direct to the source, right? I could come straight to you about the dish and say, yeah, this is happening, right? And it doesn't make me feel like another sense of overwhelm.
Why does the dissolution
and drama?
Why does the dissolution occur?
The
Dissolution.
the
You said it dissolves.
Yeah, it dissolves.
Like the automatic reaction. Why does it dissolve when you become aware?
Because the attachment is less attached. I'm not so attached about being right about this dish and you have to come home and you have to do the dishes and you have to do all it does like to me I'm fine.
So where's the fine line between what's okay and an expectation not being met causing the trigger?
Well, that's what you said, expectation, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what are the expectations? And I think that is a huge part about attachment. Like you said that, like with tunnel vision, I don't know if we actually said it in the episode. We were talking before the episode. But when you have tunnel vision, you're so married to this expectation. I'm banging my face on the mic. You're so married to the expectation of the end, right? And when you kind of detach from, like, I don't expect you to do anything, it would be really nice. I feel like, because you no longer have an expectation. My expectation is for the kitchen to be clean and my kids in bed at the end of the night. That's all I really expect. Everything else is going to bring up feelings. Everything else is going to stir things up. And then we could talk about it. We could figure out what we can do differently in life to feel better, to move bedtime, to do things differently. We can do that. But when you don't get so attached to these little moments, there's just less blow-ups in life.
Yeah.
There's less drama. And that's awareness is going to bring you to your addiction to drama.
Yeah.
And like, once you realize, because to this day, we're addicted to the drama. Once you realize how addicted to the drama and how we have been primed to be addicted to drama, think about all these housewife shows, think about the Kardashians, think about everything that happens, think about the news. It's all drama. We have been primed, we're programmed to be so addicted to something happening and being triggered and being angry about something all the time. Once you start, what is that called? When you're like itching because you don't have it anymore.
Withdrawal.
Once you start withdrawing from the addiction to drama, you start to recognize how much you.
So I want to give the viewers one quick challenge before we head out today. Here's my 2 challenges for you. First and foremost, presence. Right? So next time that you're speaking with somebody and they're speaking about something going on in their life, observe how quickly you want to start talking about yourself. That's presence, right? Because are you really listening, or you just can't wait to get out what you want to share about your life and how that connects? The second one is next time you're speaking to somebody and you want to either defend yourself, I want you to pause for a second and watch yourself about to defend yourself, and from there decide, do you need to continue this conversation, or you can walk away without needing to be right. And when I look at those 2 things, those have been huge areas where it's allowed me to become directly present, directly aware, and allow me to flow through my emotions and realize either the need or the not need to have to move forward with a conversation, and teach me a lot about myself.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines is, the truth needs no defending. So when you find yourself in one of those bats and you're just like, I need to be right, at the end of the day, the truth will remain, and it will be there, and it will always prevail. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so
for
much.
Watching. Hope we made a point today. Anyways,
we're going to be coming back with more things. I feel like more strategic steps to
follow us on Instagram, follow us on Breaking Chains, the Breaking Chains podcast on YouTube. Remember, we don't have a point to this. We are here to share and offer our experience to you, and we want you to offer that back to us and just be united through this journey of life. Love you.
We're all much more the same than we are different. So thank you guys.